Hello, hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV screen to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well, let's learn English together. Okay, and here we are again. How do you all feel today? Are you ready and willing to start another lesson? Of course you are. I know you are, and you know you are. Okay then. All right, let's get stuck into today's lesson. Now, yesterday we started studying a new way to talk about the future in English. We started studying going to. So, in our last lesson together, we learned about the form of going to, how we make sentences with going to. We learned that we make sentences with going to using the verb to be. This means that we have to conjugate the verb to be depending on the subject, the personal pronoun that we're using in the sentence. If we're talking about I, then we conjugate the verb to be, I am. If we're talking about you, then we conjugate the verb to be, you are. If we're talking about the third person singular, we have to conjugate the verb to be, he, she, it, is. So, because we have to use the verb to be when we want to use going to, we have to remember to conjugate the verb to be. But that's not too difficult, is it? No, of course not. Okay, just to make sure we all remember the verb to be, here's Mabel, and she's got a table. Okay, fantastic. Now, what do we do next when we want to make a sentence using going to? Any ideas? Does anyone remember? That's right. We know that we start with the subject. I, you, Alfredo, Tim. Then we pick the correct version of the verb to be. Am, are, is. After that, we add going to. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about I or you or he. We don't have to change anything with going to. We already made the change when we conjugated the verb to be. So, we add going to, and then we add a verb in the infinitive without to. Simple. Okay, Mabel, Mabel. Oh, Mabel, Mabel, I sent you a telegram. Please read it now while you show us a diagram. Fantastic. So, we can see how we make sentences using going to. Now, one thing we haven't looked at yet is what? Come on, you all know the next step. What are we going to look at next? Bingo! The next thing we need to look at is the negative form. How can we use going to in a negative sense? Now, which word do you think we're going to use? Come on, you all know the answer to the question. Anyone? Yes, that's right. The question is open to anyone. Anyone? Aha, that's right. Whenever we learn about the negative in English, we always meet the word not. When we change the positive present simple sentence, I like custard, into a negative sentence, Which word do we need? Yes, not. We change I like custard into I don't like custard. Good. And what about the past simple? Which word do we need to change the positive past simple sentence, he worked on Friday evening, into a negative past simple sentence? Yes, that's right. We need the word not again, don't we? Now, do you remember how we made negative sentences in the past simple? We need to use another verb as well, don't we? Just as we use the verb to do when we ask questions in the present simple. Do you like potatoes? When we ask questions and make negative sentences in the past simple, we use the past form of the verb to do, did. The sentence becomes, he didn't work on Friday evening. We use did plus the infinitive without to make a past simple negative sentence. When we ask a question using the past simple, we also use did. But when we ask a question, we have to remember to change the word order and put a question mark at the end, don't we? The question is, did he work on Friday evening? So, let's see all that in a table, shall we? Mabel, Mabel, lover of art, can you show us those things in a chart, please? Okay, great. Now, we know that we need to use the word not to make a negative with going to. So, how do we do it? Well, it's simple. In fact, for all of you out there, for you gods of English, it's as easy as ABC. ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3. All simple as do, re, mi. ABC, 1, 2, 3, baby, you must be good. Okay, the Jackson 5, Michael, Jermaine, Janet, Latoya, and Boris. Anyway, we're better than them, and we know it. And now for the easy bit. How do we make a negative sentence using going to? Well, we know that we need the word not. Okay, and how do we make a sentence with going to? What other verb do we need to make a sentence with going to? That's correct, a-doodle-doo. Bullseye, ping pong, the witch is dead. Brilliant. We need the verb to be, don't we? Yes. When we make a sentence with going to, we use the verb to be. I am or I'm going to the cinema tonight, for example. So, if we'd like to change the positive sentence into a negative one, what do you think we should do? Well, we have to add not. But where should we put it? Well, the not goes between the verb to be and going to. We start with the subject, a personal pronoun, for example, I, you, he. Then we add the correctly conjugated verb to be, am, are, is. Then we add the word not, and then we add going to. So when we change a positive sentence with going to into a negative sentence with going to, we change it like this. I'm going to have lunch with Chief Mangasutu Buthelezi tomorrow at noon. And it changes to, I'm not going to have lunch with Chief Mangasutu Buthelezi tomorrow at noon. Now, we all know that we prefer to use the short version whenever we can. So we use I'm and I'm not. For the other personal pronouns, we also prefer to use the short, abbreviated version. Mabel, Mabel, we know you're able. Can you put all that in a table, please? So, as we can see, for most of the personal pronouns, we can choose two ways to say the abbreviated or short negative form. When we use I, then we can only use the negative version I'm not. But when we use the other personal pronouns, we have a choice. We can say you're not or you aren't. We can say he's not or he isn't. She's not or she isn't. And it's not and it isn't. We can choose between we're not and we aren't. You're not and you aren't. And finally, they're not and they aren't. Fab! And now, what do you think? That's correct. The last piece of the puzzle. We're going to have a look at the question form. Easy peasy. Okay, what happens when we make a question in English? What do we have to change? That's right, my friends. We have to change the word order around and add a question mark to show it's a question, don't we? Think about when we made questions with the present simple version of the verb to be. I am changes to am I. Great. Now, how do you think we make the question form with going to? Any ideas? I'm sure you've all got lots of ideas, but they'll have to wait until tomorrow. Yes, it's that time of the day again. The time of day when we welcome Enid Fotherington Smythe to come into the studio, take the stage and enlighten us about some everyday English. So, let's give her a big hand. Enid, welcome to the studio. Take it away.
Well, hello people. Hello, hello. And how are you all today? Are you all doing well? Yes? Good. Well, speaking for myself, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today. Do you know that English phrase? No? Well, allow me to explain. To feel under the weather is an English phrase which means that you don't feel very well or you're not very happy. It can mean something physical, you're not feeling well, or it can mean something mental. If your girlfriend or boyfriend tells you that you smell and they don't want to see you again, you might feel under the weather. I normally use it when I'm not feeling well. I don't have anything apart from physical problems. Anyway, the reason I'm feeling under the weather is because of all that spring cleaning I did the other day. By the end of the day, I was so tired, I couldn't take Keith for his evening stroll, his evening walk. I just plonked myself down on the sofa and stared at the TV. Then, this morning, I had trouble getting out of bed. All my muscles were sore. I looked on the internet and I think I've got DOMS. That's when your muscles ache and are sore after you use them. If you go to the gym and work too hard, the next day you will have DOMS. The Hungarian word is much nicer, I think. Izomlás. But the English have DOMS. Delayed onset muscle soreness. And I'm off to soak in the bath. Maybe that will help. Toodaloo, pip pip, chitty bye.
Oh dear, poor Enid. She's got DOMS. Her muscles ache, poor thing. Oh well, in a couple of days she'll feel better again. And that's all we have time for today. Yes, we've reached the end of the lesson once again. Right, well before I go, I'd just like to thank you for watching. Thank you. And don't forget to check out all the stuff at m5tv.hu. All right, I'll see you next lesson. And remember, I'm Gav Duncan, and I'm taller than Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I'm younger than Chuck Norris. See you later. Bye.